Alright, as I was saying, hello everyone. We're going to be playing, and by playing I mean not playing, Skyrim Special Edition today. You see, we're going to be going over the mods I've set up, and we're probably going to be crashing the game at some point, breaking it, and then it'll be a non-playthrough entirely. But if it all manages to work out somehow, well, we might actually have a game and a playthrough. We'll see. I'm running this on Kubuntu Linux, which is the KDE suite of Ubuntu. It's Linux for normal people. And I've installed the Mod Organizer 2 through Lutris, which placed it into Skyrim's compat data. So what's happening is when I launch Mod Organizer, Steam thinks I'm running Skyrim. But what's actually happening is all of Mod Organizer's mods and everything exist in the same compat data folder as the as Skyrim's compat data. Same thing for all of the tools like what do you call it, Rybash and CBBE's Body Slide, so on. All of those are taking place. They all exist in the same compat data folder, so it tricks these things into thinking they're all in the same Windows installation, basically. Whether this will work or not, I don't know, but we're gonna try it out, have some fun, and I'm going to go over all the mods I am using really quick. You asked, why Kubuntu? Because it's Linux for normal people. I need my wife to be able to sit down in front of the computer and be able to use it if it's Windows. I need to spend as little time in the terminal as possible. I lived through the DOS era. All right. So, this is the, let's just say, Mod Organizer, as it's running through this right now. We're running with the Engine Fixes mod. The Engine Fixes is very simple. It fixes most of the problems with Skyrim Special Edition. Yes. Next, we got the Skyrim script extender headers. This just exists so that you can run Skyrim script extender in pretty much any you can run Skyrim script extender mods with any version of Skyrim script extender, as long as they're built for the headers and not for the basic what do you call it, Skyrim sorry. I'm getting distracted by the chat here. So as long as they're built for these headers, it means that you don't have to worry if the Skyrim script extender updates. The older version of the the older version of the script extender mods will actually function on that. That's how it works. Anyway, Unofficial Skyrim patch. It's by Altmer. Tons of fixes. That's good. Bug fixes SSE. Just fixes a bunch more bugs. It's no big deal there. Better dialogue, better message box controls. We know about those. Let me see here. Fusro Do is just a what do you call it? Close it so that I can see that distracting. There we go. Fusro Do just allows you to have a silent voice add-on, so that if a mod has an NPC say something but there's no voice file attached to it, or there's an invalid voice file, it will still take the time to show up in your subtitles. It will allow NPCs to talk despite there being no file for it. There's a few select mods that use non-voiced lines. J containers is required for some other mods to work. Skyrim SkyUI is my favorite mod for Skyrim. It just takes the console-based user interface and elevates it to something little more suitable for PC. UI extensions is another mod that it's just a requirement for other mods to work. Immersive Hud is a mod by Gopher that allows you to hide user interface elements when they're not necessary. For example, when you want to look at your compass, you just hold X and then the compass appears, but otherwise the compass isn't on screen. It's the idea of you're looking at your compass or your map or whatever. And it makes it more immersive. Yes. Extensible Follower Framework is a mod that allows you to have far more control over the NPCs. It actually brings up a Fallout New Vegas style wheel if you have the proper requisites installed. Otherwise, it'll just function based on powers. It's just a highly customizable follower control mod, essentially. More HUD is a mod that will, when you mouse over something, it'll give you more information than just the name of the object. You'll basically inspect the item. Quality world map is just a better looking world map. I've also used the Clear Skies add-on so we don't get those annoying clouds over it. Atlas map markers adds tons and tons of objects to the game world. They are all like, say you have the fairy ring. There's a ring of stones just kind of bare in Skyrim for no reason. Was it a ring of mushrooms? I don't know. Point is, it was just a curiosity that existed in Skyrim, and you looked at it and you're like, what's this doing here? Well, Atlas map markers marks all those locations, so they appear, it just completely floods the map with locations, basically. The static mesh improvement mod just makes everything look a higher definition in terms of the actual 3D models. It's specifically for static meshes like tables and things like that. Nothing out of the ordinary. Let me see here. So Alternate Start Live Another Life is another mod by Altmer. This actually follows after his Oblivion Alternate Start, which I highly recommend for sure. And for the Skyrim version, it just really customizes how you can start your game. Now, there are other ones which are more customizable, like Ultimate Skyrim and a few other alternate start mods that tend to give you more control over how you want to start. But Alternate Start creates these little scenarios that really help you support your play style. As far like giving your character a limited sort of backstory. And I like that a lot. That said, if you, depending on how you want to role play, maybe one of those other alternate starts might be better for you. Next, we got the weapon and armor, clothing, and clutter fixes. This is just a prerequisite for a bunch of other stuff. Same thing for the XP32 Max Skeleton. Each of these mods have their own reasons you want them installed anyway, but I wouldn't even bother but they're required by a lot of other mods. Same thing for the armor and clothing extension. We messed around with Finis, decided not to use it. We got Immersive Armors, and that just adds a ton of armor types to the game. We got the Ace Armored Remodeled patch, which just allows Ace to work with the remodeled armor. We got the Divine Elegance store. This is Apache, the guy who made this absurd anime Sky Hairs. He also added ridiculous-looking ball gowns and stuff to the game and stuffed them into a Divine Elegance store. And so we don't really care about the store. It'll exist in the game. We can go to it if we want, but it's mainly for a prerequisite for something else. That's the reason we have it. Fixes for the clothing and armor extension. Obviously, when you have an extension, needs to be. I don't care. Weapons and armor, clutter fixes, CBE patch. We got the immersive armor. So for when people wear immersive armors, they get skimpy armor. No reason for that. Let's see. There are no HDT physics, no Finis running, nothing like that. No, there's going to be no physics at all. Female outfit replacer is equally, you can see skimpy. Shiva's clothing replacer. This actually is not skimpy. So for people who are wearing fine clothes and Jarl's outfits and ball gowns and merchant's clothes, those people are going to be extremely well dressed. So you're going to get the peasants wearing their skimpy armor or skimpy clothing, and then you get the nobles who are dressed elegantly in like ball gowns and shit. That's basically the idea. Is you have this kind of divide between the NPCs as a result. The scaled necromantic armor just means all necromancers are going to be shirtless. That is to say, all male necromancers are going to be shirtless. The women are going to be covered under the remodeled armors that over here, so that they're gonna have like stockings and shit, whereas the men are just going to be shirtless. So it's just allowing them to be their big buff necromancer, because we have a special skin for the males which makes them look especially sleek. Now, we got Dwemer Tech, which is an Any Scion mod. Any Scion, I believe it was Any Scion. He disowned the mod because it had a bunch of problems. Didn't really go up to the quality standards he wanted. I love it. It's janky. It doesn't necessarily support the lore. It's still hilarious. You go to the moon and you fight Dwemer Tech priests, okay? Because they're coming back. There was a whole like section of them that they just aren't. They haven't been here for a long time, so the Dwemer are coming back, and now there's an invasion force. Not all the Dwemer, just the ones that were in Oblivion at the time, and the idea is that they need your blood for some reason. We don't know why. Everyone needs the babyborn's blood. Let's really quick just go over to media videos. I don't have any of my macro keys set up, unfortunately, right now, because I've just reset everything up. But thankfully, I do have access to the macros regardless. I just have to click them manually.
Poor baby born, please don't cry anymore, 'cause your mommy is here, baby born, baby born. When baby born cries, she's thirsty. Let's give her a bottle. Just like a real baby, she's wet her diaper. Baby born, baby born.
Yeah, so everyone needs the baby born for some reason or another. We haven't figured out why. And the Dwemer need the blood of the Dragonborn. That's important. By the way, for those who are subscribers to the channel, you will notice there are new emotes, such as the halt and it's called just mostly the halt, but also I've replaced the what with a top keck raven. Thus, you can see we are laughing. Now, for those who are at higher subscription tiers, because you gotta love those whales. We have Lord Rickton, the fat Imperial commander, very important there. And then for the people who pay like $24 a month, first of all, you're out of your fucking mind. Stop it. Secondly, you get access to the babyborn as an emote, and that's pretty important. Now, that aside, because we don't really need to shill for the channel, I'm doing well, thank you. We are going to continue on to Andromeda. These are standing stones. It's a standing stone replacement mod for it's part of the Any Scion suite, what they call Any Rim. Any Scion is a good guy, by the way. He has done a lot of consultation work with Once Lost Games, and he had a huge part in the Diablo modding community. I love his suite of mods. A lot of people disagree, and that's fine. And it's a case of, I think he definitely deserves the recognition he gets, and most of his mods, including the ones he abandoned, by the way, have a place in my playthrough. So, as I was saying, under this we got Growl, which is the werewolf overhaul. It completely overhauls werewolves. That's more Any Scion. Any Scion has a mod for like a module for Ordinator, and it's perk points at skill levels. So 50, 75, and 100 skill gives you an extra perk point. It's his way of giving, like, it's an optional module for people who want more perks, and you don't get them early on. So there we go. As I was saying, Ravengate was Any Scion's attempt to expand into content mods. And the idea behind it was, he realized that even if he made the best gameplay overhauls ever, the Creation Club doesn't give a shit because you can't sell those gameplay overhauls like you can sell a piece of armor or a quest. And so he set out to prove himself by going and basically building this content mod, which was a pretty decent quality. Unfortunately, they didn't give a shit, and they only wanted Eleonora house mods and things like that. By the way, a lot of people don't like Eleonora for some reason. I mean, she's always been a staunch fan of Bethesda stuff. Not a critic, a fan. And therefore, you know, when you look at Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 and stuff, people want to criticize it, and she doesn't tolerate that kind of criticism. I kind of understand where she's going with this. I like to criticize stuff. I have fun criticizing stuff, really. But I don't know what's with all the hate for her. She's a super fan. Just let her be a super fan. What can I say? She's got a few good mods, and it's just that they wanted people like her, you know, super fans who make really high quality content, but small, packageable, sellable content. Sellable content. So yes. And so what I'm saying is they don't want any scions. They want Eleonoras. And you know, so Ravengate was abandoned by any scion as a result. Probably also issues with the mod. I'm going to use it anyway. So it adds an arena in Riften where you go through a quest line. It's like the Pit Fighters faction, except we're not running the Pit Fighters faction in this playthrough. We might add it later, but I don't think so. Next up, we got Realistic Water. It's a good mod that just kind of the way water looks. Then we got Sacrosanct. Okay, so I have for the longest time been kind of against Sacrosanct because it didn't really have the features I wanted. I preferred better vampires because I liked the blood point system and things like that. But I'm trying to go in a little bit of a different direction with this playthrough. So I actually kind of took better vampires out, and now I'm just leaving it with Sacrosanct. Sacrosanct has gained a mod configuration menu and other options in it. Like it gives you more control than it used to, which is really cool. Like any scion obviously heard the criticisms and ran with them, and so the mod's better than it used to be. Like I no longer dislike it, having poked at it. Looks to be right up my alley, even though it doesn't have the blood point system. Yeah, it looks good. Next up, we got Spectraverse. Spectraverse is another a mod that sent any scion abandoned. It adds tons of different spells, and he added another mod that adds those spells but doesn't add the quest. I left the quest in. This is the mod where Khajiit will randomly run up to you and go, "Rah, Khajiit has something important to tell you." You know, so what can I say other than it's pretty good? It's a little insane. It's on the lower end of quality. Like when I say it's pretty good, it's a pretty good experience. It's, you know, obviously a beginner because he was, as far as Skyrim modding goes, you know, earlier on, tried to make something questy, and it didn't really work out. Kind of like the way Dwemer Tech didn't really work out. It's goofy. I'm running with it because I like it. So yes, Summer Mist is an enchantment overhaul. Adds tons and tons of enchantments to tons and tons of different items. Just plasters the whole game with enchanted items. And then this is for the clothing item fixes. Ordinator is a perk overhaul. I like it a lot. It really gives you control of how you want to play the character. And if you need to, if you want to play an extended playthrough, like where you just keep leveling and leveling pretty much forever, this is a good mod that'll handle that kind of thing. It's Ordinator will give you tons and tons of progression just in all different fields. And if you're looking for a long-term playthrough, Ordinator's the way to go. If you're looking for a more focused playthrough, Ordinator's the way to go, because you have tons and tons of different perks. That said, there are other perk mods which might you might like more. That said, I always felt like the perks in Ordinator were useful, all of them. Next up is Thunderchild. It's a shout overhaul. This probably won't be going into effect until a long way down the road, assuming the playthrough even works at all. Assuming it doesn't break in the first 5 minutes. Like, we won't be going to the watchtower and fighting the dragon. We won't be doing any of that stuff till, like, what, 80 hours in? Something stupid like that. So, as I was saying, Thunderchild gives you more words of power and the ability to combine words of power in different ways to create new shouts. So you might get 3 different words from 3 different shouts, and Thunderchild lets you mix and match those words to create new shouts that are, just a mixture of those different words of power that didn't normally in the vanilla game go together, but you get to combine them in different ways. Triumvirate is a a magic overhaul, which actually kind of splits magic into different, not only schools of magic, but types of magic. So there might be like warlock magic, druid magic, so on. And each one of those has different spells for each school, which is really nice. Let me see here. We're gonna just really quick. Yeah, we're gonna time that out. You can we can approach that topic at another juncture, like never. Winter Sun is a religion mod. When you create your character, you'll be able to begin worshiping a god, and the selection of gods is based off of what race you pick. It also adds shrines to the world, tons and tons of shrines, and praying to any one of those shrines. Say you find a shrine of shore, you can actually become a worshiper of shore, and there's a whole set of tenets and bonuses that you get for raising your reputation with that particular god. And there are punishments for doing other things that go against that religion. And if your reputation drops below 0%, you get kicked out. Basically, God stops answering your prayers. And it's kind of a big deal. Imperious is a race overhaul. It just changes how all the races work, as well as gives them each one signature quest, usually something dumb, like we're going to be picking butterflies, for example, because we're going to be playing a Ponzi sort of character. But don't worry about that, because no matter what race you pick, it'll give you extra options for your playstyle. Basically, it's really nice. So next we have what is it called? Apocalypse. That is another magic overhaul. Earlier than Triumvirate. Triumvirate is like nice and balanced. Apocalypse is bonkers, and you can use both of them, no problem. It'll inject balance issues into the game, but do we really care about that? Next, we got enhanced blood textures. It just makes everything extra bloody. Extra bloody. Let me see here. I was going to say Skyrim Immersive Creatures. This is a highly recommended mod. It just adds a ton of different creature types to the game. Keep in mind that the game will become unstable if you do not go into the mod configuration menu and disable the random cell respawner. That can cause some pretty big crash issues as it tries to force cells to respawn, and the game is busy doing other things. So that's one of the first things you do upon getting into game is you disable the random spell respawner. Yes. Next, Winter Sun Immersive Creatures patch just allows things to work together. yeah, let's see here. So, monster mod. This is a pretty big deal. It is a mod that adds kind of not really lore friendly creatures to the game and makes it extra bonkers. Uh, I honestly don't recommend this, but I want to use it anyway. And if you want it to be even more bonkers, add Sands of Time and Genesis on top of that, but then the game becomes unstable and crashy, so we're not doing that. That said, the game will probably be unstable and crashy anyway for various reasons. Either way, Bijin's NPCs, War Maidens, Sumir Eyes, Bijin's Wives, some fixes for that, and then the Bijin All-in-One. This basically just turns various NPCs in the game into supermodels for no reason other than to make them supermodels. Same thing with the Serana here, the Serana and Valerica body replacers. All this does is if for any reason Serana gets naked, she won't actually be naked. That's just all these specific, like, these are specifically here to prevent. So, like, they're actually included in the all-in-one, but we don't want Serana and Valerica to get naked on screen there. So, Cloaks of Skyrim is, it's just, like, why hasn't there been cloaks since Daggerfall? Well, technically your feet clip through. Shut up! I don't care about clipping. I really like cloaks. Let's see. These are never nude for the rest of them. This is our extra safety net. Make sure that they don't get naked in case one of the supermodels dies, because they use a different body. So we just need to make sure that less nudity on Twitch, please. Thanks. Run for Your Lives is an Arthmore mod. Same guy who did the unofficial patch and alternate start. If a non-combat NPC, like a civilian, a merchant or something, sees a dragon or a vampire, instead of going and shouting, "Skyrim belongs to the Nords," and attacking it, they will run away. And that's because NPCs have a tendency to just have like a little iron dagger, and they go, "Skyrim belongs to the Nords," and beat the crap out of things. So, KS Hairdos is a mod that gives you expanded hair options. Very important. Next, we got Dawn of Skyrim. Dawn of Skyrim is a huge city mod, which honestly is overdone. It adds too much. And then there's, of course, JK Skyrim, which is a city mod, which is overdone and adds too much. And then there's Expanded Towns and Cities that does the same thing to the smaller towns and holds out there, like Morthal and Riverwood and stuff, little places. It does the same thing. And these are compatibility files for all that other stuff. Noble Skyrim is a mod that simply retextures everything. No big deal there. Carriage and Ferry Travel Overhaul is what allows you to go. It's called Go Straight There or Stop Along the Way, and gives you a lot more options. It's nice. Let me see here. Now then, obviously we got some it's called Carriage and Travel Ferry Travel Overhaul mods. No big deal there. Let's see, we installed RS Children, but we decided against it after we found out what a compatibility nightmare it was. We were also getting children that were not wearing any clothes except for like their underwear, and that was very uncomfortable. Incompatibility issues abound. Let's say mods that added children but weren't covered under a compatibility patch just ruined everything. We spent like I think I spent a whole lunch break just trying to fix this, because like you'll notice my Skyrim Special Edition on Steam has like an extra 200 hours on it. That's because I left Mod Organizer open. Keep in mind, because Mod Organizer Steam thinks is Skyrim due to how I have this set up, so it just added like an extra 200 hours. I left this open for several days. Anyway, as I was working on this, I occasionally I just occasionally would, look at the various mods and poke at them a bit, and in between, whenever I was on a break. And so, yeah, I spent a whole lunch break trying to get RS Children working, and just decided, you know what, this isn't worth it. And I just unchecked it. Dynamic Snow is a nice mod that makes the snow look better, less generic. Unfortunately, it does have some incompatibilities. You have to pay attention. If the game does get crashy, you can remove it safely, but we're hoping that's not the case. Next up, we got Sky Shards. It adds Sky Shards all around Skyrim. Adds Sky Shards around Wormstooth and Falskar, which are big landmass mods. Speaking of which, we got Wormstooth here. That's a nice little landmass mod where you go and fight a dragon. It's honestly the weakest out of the mods, because like the dungeon is a copy paste of a bunch of other Skyrim dungeons all like linked together. But it was fun, and I'm in for more content. So yes, more Sky Shards. This time for Beyond Skyrim Bruma. That adds the Bruma region of Cyrodiil, which is like discount Skyrim basically. Next we got Trade and Barter. Trade and Barter we're going to use to heavily influence the economy. Yes, indeed. Next we got Complete Crafting Overhaul Remastered, which again changes tons of aspects of the game. Same thing for the Cooking and Alchemy. Got a patch for that, as well as a DLL update. The choice is yours. Allows you, when reading a book, for example, you'll look at it and it will ask you, do you want to accept this quest? And you might say, no, I don't want to accept this quest, in which case it doesn't add it to your quest log. We'll probably never take advantage of this mod properly, because we'll just be accepting all the quests. But in the off chance we do run into a mod, not a mod, sorry, we do run into a quest we don't want to pick up, we'll just be able to say no. Timing is everything will allow us to adjust when things happen, like, at what point the Mirax troops show up, for example, things like that. Thieves Guild requirements is actually kind of a big deal. It means that when I walk into Riften, in theory, Brynjolf, for I don't even know who he is anymore, he'll walk up to you and, go, oh, you're carrying a lot of coin for someone who's never done an honest day's job in his life. I don't care. Point is that you can defer it either to a certain level, a quest gate, or skills. You can basically put it off until you are sufficiently skilled in sneak or pickpocket, and then he'll approach you. But in this case, we'll configure it when we get in game. Point is that he won't instantly come after me the moment I enter the town for the first time, unless I become a really big sneak before then, or do whatever requirements I decide. Book of Silence is just a lot of retextures. Instead of your swords looking like paddles, like boat paddles, they tend to be a bit sharper. The boat paddles are the vanilla game. By comparison, you might as well be wielding baseball bats. That's how terrible the swords look. And so this just kind of sharpens them up a bit. I Need is the kind of the survival mod. We're actually going to be nerfing the requirements of this quite a bit. The food, water, and sleep, to where it's a more of an immersive management and less of a continually bug the crap out of you situations. So we're going to drastically reduce how much food, water, and sleep we actually need, that it's something we pay attention to every once in a while, not something that's constantly hounding us. See. Drinking Fountains of Skyrim simply gives us the like wells and other fountains inside of Skyrim. All it really does is, we're thirsty. Okay, well, all these different towns now have a drinking fountain you can get water from. That's pretty simple. It means that if you're in town, you can get water. You're not going to die of thirst inside of a city, like water everywhere and not a drop to drink. So no big deal there. Beyond Skyrim, Bruma enhancements and patches, no big deal there. More like this is a compatibility patch with JK Skyrim enhanced towns and cities. Beyond Skyrim Bruma, which is, it's the preview for Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil expansion. No big deal there. So that's basically how it works. Is Beyond Skyrim Bruma is merely a preview for the rest of it. However, it does feel like a fully realized DLC expansion due to how high quality the content is. And it gives us all hope for, some year in the future when Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil comes out and we can access all of Cyrodiil in our modern 4th era Skyrim. And that'd be nice. Now, I admit that they're really running up against the clock because, in 5 to 6 years when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, people might stop supporting it and modding for it. So, there's always that danger with the Beyond Skyrim project that it might lose relevancy in the eyes of people. And I hope that's not the case. I really do, because Beyond Skyrim Iliac Bay is looking to be really good. Really, really, really good. So, I'm just looking at it and I'm saying, this is great content. I want to experience it again. Please be good in the future. Thanks. And please come soon enough to be relevant. As I was saying, you got the Ordinator Beyond Skyrim Bruma patch, which basically, if you have the investment perk, it allows you to invest in stores using Ordinator rules. That's basically it. It's not necessary, but it's very good to have. Let me see. You said the Morrowind modding community is still alive. Well, Morrowind is a very different game to Skyrim. Keep that in mind. Let's see here. Anyway, Beyond Skyrim DLC integration patch. This is required for what's called Bruma to work. And let's see. More compatibility patches. Beyond Reach. Beyond Reach is an interesting mod. Let's just say at some point in time in the past, I did a live stream of Beyond Reach, and I complained a lot during it while I was talking to the people in the chat. Anyway, because I was streaming to YouTube, something I don't do now, and I was also it became a YouTube video after the stream was over, right? The developer saw the the live stream and thought it was a review, like a 4-hour-long review, and he was livid. He posted paragraphs and paragraphs about how I was wrong and how I was an angry video game YouTuber cliche and I was trying to ape the Jimquisition. He basically latched on to every little topic that went by with the chat because, he didn't see the chat, right? But he latched onto every little topic that went by and incorporated it into this narrative about me, of how I'm this terrible person trying to destroy his mod. I may have, and I apologize for doing this, by the way. I legitimately apologize, but I did do a response video, which I deleted, where I implied he had autism. And, I'm just going to say, I shouldn't have done that. That's bullying under YouTube rules. I was wrong to do it. I apologize, okay? Moving on, however, Beyond Reach is a pretty good a pretty good expansion to just kind of Skyrim's content. You say it isn't very good. I'd argue that it is on the level of, say, a Falscar. Okay, it's all right, I would say. When I say it's good, I mean it gives you more content and it checks certain boxes where I want more of this, I want more of that, I want more of that. It's not without its issues, and it definitely isn't of excellent quality, but it at least reaches the good enough, for sure. Good. So, yes, I have nothing against autistic people, by the way. I just it was a what do you call what was PewDiePie calling it? A heated gamer moment. No, obviously not. I was being mean spirited, and I didn't really think about the consequences of what I was saying. So, um, it's just a thing where I deleted the video because YouTube said, obviously you can't bully. That's number one. Number two, I looked at it and I said, this isn't really a review. This is actually just not a great playthrough either. So I went ahead and dropped it. So that was that simple. Yes, exactly. Gamer, Gaymer. Yes, the gamer are a race of elves. That people are just sensitive these days. Perhaps they are, perhaps they aren't. But I felt like I was covering my bases regardless, taking it down, because that's not the sort of person I want to be 99% of the time. There is that 1% of the time where I'm just a real fucking asshole, though. All right, so Project AHO. That is a mod that adds a whole what do you call it? It adds a whole area, like a Morrowind style Telvanni town, hidden underneath a portion of Skyrim. The idea is that there was this giant mushroom city that was more or less grown, and it's really cool. I have issues with how the game starts, how the mod begins, and it's kind of forced on you in the vanilla game in ways I don't particularly care for. Let's just say, yes. When you accidentally start AHO without realizing it's frustrating. I agree. Speaking of which, we got this Project AHO ESM flag. All it does is it pretty much says, hey, we want Project AHO to not count toward your load order. That'd be nice, and that's what that does. We got the harder bosses version, so the bosses of Project AHO are harder. And it also fixes a few bugs, this unofficial patch. Unofficial patch for unofficial mods. Yes, it's true. Then this is the delayed start patch. Keep in mind, this is actually a patch for version 2. The old alternates, like a delayed start, didn't work in the past because it was broken. But the idea is that you just, like, the new version of it should function. It's also an ESL file, which means, again, it doesn't take up space in your load order, which is nice. Carved Brink is a fun little mod. It's not as large as something like it's not as large as Project AHO, but it's by the same developers, and it's a goblin kind of. I'd say it's a bad storyline, but the game play is fun, so who really cares? We're already committed to playing Skyrim, so then again, an unofficial patch for it fixes some stuff. Harder bosses version, same deal as Project AHO. No problem there. Let me see here. As I was saying, CBBE, the body mod, ESL flag, no one cares. It's actually not even active. It's quote unquote redundant, meaning it's being overwritten by something else. I'm gonna ignore that though. I'm gonna say campfire. This is a not a cooking mod necessarily, but do you want to set down a camp and a tent and stuff to sleep in, like just basically sleep anywhere you want? That's what campfire does. Missives is a mod that adds these little notice boards to different towns, and it's like the notice boards mod, but it's a little more streamlined, little more basic than, say, what do you call it, the notice board, but it's more compatible and has a tendency to break aspects of the game less, and that's important. And These patches add notice boards to Wormstooth, Solstheim, Cyrodiil, Valskar, Beyond Reach, and this last patch takes the parts of Dawn of Skyrim and it actually kind of pushes away, pushes them so that they're not clipping into things as much. JK Skyrim might still cause things to clip into them occasionally, but the vast majority of the clipping issues and the hidden boards will be resolved with this Dawn of Skyrim patch. Coins of Tamriel replaces Septum, like regular gold coins, with a copper currency called Septums. I know this is like, what the hell? This isn't lore friendly. I don't care. It's this copper currency called Septums. And then there are silver septums and gold septums. So different denominations of septum coins. And they also have weight, meaning that those coins will weigh you down. But don't worry, because we have the exchange currency mod, which allows you to take out letters of credit and carry around these very cheap pieces of paper, which you can convert back into coins when you need them. Next up, we got Immersive Jewelry. This breaks the economy. It just wrecks it with a steamroller. It adds earrings and different amulets and gemstones and bracelets, all kinds of fancy stuff, like beautiful, beautiful jewelry. Adds them to the drop tables, and it will just wreck the game's economy completely. But that's okay. Also, earrings for male characters, very important. We definitely, if our Dunmer brothers have taught us anything, it's that we need earrings on the men. Okay, so was gonna say that currency exchange immersive jewelry patch. That this just basically says, hey, the jewelry patch allows you to make gold ingots, right? Well, the gold ingots are, and then you basically set how much do you want the gold ingot to cost. And the default is 500. With this particular patch, I've reduced the cost of a gold ingot down to 200 gold for reasons. Let's see, Tavern AI Fix stops them from going, I'll show you to your room, right this way, and when you sit down at a table, it'll stop them from going, you need a drink. Like, it just, in general, it cleans things up a bit. Here's the redundant patch. Don't worry about that. This is actual, so my apologies. This is an actual fix for a bug, and then this is the 200 gold patch there. Now, room in-room costs. This gives us a mod configuration menu where we can set the costs for in-rooms. We're going to be setting like 200 gold a night. Stupid cost from the 10 gold default. We're going to make it like prohibitively expensive in the early game to have a room. Speaking of which, more expensive mercenaries and houses. Like, this just greatly increases the costs of mercenaries, horses, and like Proud Spire Manor's 40,000 gold with this. No big deal there. Let me see here. Unique Uniques is actually something we don't need to worry about. It's being overwritten by Legacy of the Dragonborn anyway. So it just kind of changes how unique items look and stuff, and it gives them, fancy looks. Tempered scales or skins for the males, yes. So this removes all the body hair and makes the men look sleek and gives them like a buffer look to them. Absolutely. No big deal there. TK dodge isn't being used. What the fuck are you talking about? Get out. Next we got you can see the Dark Brotherhood replacer, the Steel Armor replacer, the Wolf Armor replacer, the Thieves Guild and Nightingale. These are all male armors, and they're skimpy. So if we're using Dark Brotherhood, Steel Armor, Wolf Armor, or Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood, they'll all be skimpy. Very important. Next up, interesting NPCs. This is just a fix for various things. You'll see the actual the actual mod down here. Just very important. All of this stuff. These are all just patches for various things. Let's see here. Okay. Interesting NPCs, cutting room floor patch. Interesting NPCs, by the way, they're storybook NPCs. They talk way too much, and they basically expand on their life story the moment you meet them. And that's fine. That's the type of characters that we'll be talking to probably. Add item menu is more or less a cheat mod. It allows us to add any kind of item from the game's files whenever we want. And we'll only really be using this at the beginning of the game to outfit our character with the appropriate clothing. Let me see here. Bandoliers, bags, and pouches allow you to expand your carry weight by putting like a bandolier with just little pouches and stuff over your chest and on your belt. All kinds of nice places. Let me see here. Better jumping is a nice mod that's been rendered moot by something else we have. Same thing with TK dodge. It's been rendered moot by something else we have, so we're just not using those. Let me see here. As I was saying, okay, encounter zones unlocked means that in the vanilla game, when you go to a particular dungeon, the moment you enter that dungeon, it locks in the level of where you of what that dungeon is. So, say you're level 14, you enter a dungeon, then you leave, come back later on, say level 45, that dungeon will still be a level 14 dungeon. It has been locked in. Well, what this does is it unlocks the encounters. So when the zone resets, which we have set to every, I think, 3 days if it's not clear, 7 days if it is clear. Yeah, we pretty much have it set up so like when the zone resets, it will reset to whatever new level you're at, as opposed to being stuck at that lower level. Means that revisiting dungeons for various reasons will still, in theory, not in practice, but in theory, give us an adequate challenge. All right, so expressive animations for the female and male just gives you a creepy fucking face. Just a absolutely disgustingly creepy face, and you'll see it later. Like the expressions they make are creepy. Let me see here. No, would rather use Immersive College for various reasons. Sorry, it's very specific to our playthrough. Anyway, cutting room floor. We are this is a mod by Altmer, and it just reintroduces a lot of I think it's Altmer. Is it Altmer? I've forgotten already. Doesn't matter. It adds a lot of different pieces of content that were cut from the game's original release, like different encounters, different conversations that were supposed to go on, and it just restores them. And it's also massively incompatible with a bunch of different mods, so we have compatibility patches up the rear end for this. Next, we got the Helgen Reborn. This is a great mod, by the way. People disagree, of course. Like, the quality isn't there. This is a free mod. Shut up. Helgen Reborn is a mod that, first of all, don't read the book to start it until after you've cleared Helgen Keep as part of the alternate start. Cookie, thank you for subscribing. But I was going to say is, first of all, don't read the book to start the quest until after you have you've cleared Helgen as a part of the alternate start. Once you've cleared Helgen with alternate start, that's when you can read the book and start it. But it's a quest line that basically allows you to rebuild Helgen and become its ruler, and it's a nice little quest line for sure. I recommend it. Consistent older people is required for the opulent all-in-one. Opulent all-in-one is just adds fancy-looking robes for the mages, specifically the male mages. I specifically have this for the archmage robes I want to wear. About it. Immersive College of Winterhold is a great overhaul for the College of Winterhold, adds a lot of new content to it, as well as books and various stations that you can examine for different what do you call them? You can examine them for experience in different skills. So you'd raise mysticism by looking at this particular bit of research, or you'd raise alchemy by looking at this particular bit of research. It's a well done system. Other people tell me, of course, that there are better alternatives for it, but those alternatives aren't properly integrated into the other mods that I'm using, which this is. So we're absolutely liking this. All right. Now, as I was saying, Stay at System Page is a simple plugin where when you hit escape in the vanilla game, it would be on the system page, right? Where it, and I'll go ahead and blow my nose. Very important. As I was saying, so in the vanilla game, in Skyrim Legendary Edition, Regular Edition, you hit escape, it would bring up the save file menu, right? Save, load, options, all that. In Special Edition, they changed the behavior. When you hit escape, it's always on the quest menu. Always defaults to the quest journal. Very annoying. Extremely, extremely annoying. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up getting this plugin so it reverts back to its original behavior, where you hit escape and now you have access to the menu instantly. I like it. Wearable Lanterns is a Chesco mod. It's a real damn shame Chesco disappeared from the modding sphere, but I really can't blame them considering everything that went down. Oh well, either way, Chesco's Wearable Lanterns is a mod that lets you just put a lantern on your belt, and it acts very much like the lantern in Daggerfall. It just produces light for your character. No problem. I was gonna say that yeah, you don't have to be holding it like you hold a torch. It doesn't take up a slot. We got Sky UI SE saving flashing save games fix. If you get too many save games in Skyrim Special Edition, it has a tendency to go like with Sky UI. It tends to like flash off and on, off and on. It's a little glitch in the game. This fixes it, no problem. Wearable Lanterns Fix. This simply fixes the mod configuration menu, makes it work properly. See, this Wearable Lanterns release was done before Sky UI was ported properly. So he intended you not to have a mod configuration menu. And he never programmed it in properly, so the mod configuration menu doesn't function as it should. This just fixes it, restores it to its original behavior in regular Skyrim. Let's see, Papyrus utility. This just very simply allows a bunch of other mods to function. No problem there. Ethereum Weapons and Armor. This is a mod that takes, the Ethereum crown, where it's like, well, we can melt down the key and make one Ethereum item. That once you unlock the Ethereum Forge, you have access to all this Ethereum ore, which is all over different Dwemer ruins, and you can pretty much just create anything you want out of all that Ethereum ore that you've been gathering all over the place. And it's nice. It's really good. So yeah, it's what we do. There's a portion of the gallery which will have all the Ethereum items that you could possibly craft. They all belong in the museum. That's going to be a long-running joke of our playthrough, is that it belongs in a museum. Go look that up on YouTube. It's Indiana Jones. All right, so all Thieves Guild jobs concurrently. This mod is extremely important. The idea is you can, normally in Skyrim, when you pick up a Thieves Guild job, a Radiant quest for the Thieves Guild, You try to talk to anyone else to get another type of job, and they'll say, "You're already doing a job for that other guy. Come back later when you finished it." This allows you to take one job of each category all at once, meaning that you're able to do, like a variety of Thieves Guild jobs and turn them in all at once. It's convenient. Amulets of Skyrim adds tons and tons of amulets. It also adds in like specific other events based on those amulets. Like, for example, you'll find this summoner who happens to have a Daedric amulet. You put it on, and suddenly you're transported inside the amulet where you have to fight a Daedra Lord, and you can get some cool stuff from him, stuff like that. Point is that it adds amulets all over the game, but it also adds an extra little piece of content based on those amulets. It's nice. It's really nice. I believe that's what the mod is. Doesn't matter. Okay, so iron and branded iron replacer. Remember when I was saying skimpy armors for men? This is for the iron and branded iron. Same deal. HD dragon replacer just adds an HD texture to dragons. Parts of it are overwritten already. Don't even consider it, really. Next, we got the get up faster stand up. It's just, if you get knocked down, your character gets up faster. That's basically it. Darkened is a mod that it's just a big spooky dungeon with a lot of spooky stuff. It's got a quest that isn't very important. It's just more content, more dungeon crawling. Fun. Dawnguard Arsenal simply adds in all these different silver weapons and stuff from the Dawnguard. This integrates with the Dragonborn Gallery, of course, because there are locations in the gallery for all the different weapons in the game. This simply expands the possibility there. Does the get up faster affect NPCs? I think it does. Doesn't matter. Yeah, probably does. Let me see. Currency exchange, trade note replacement makes the trade notes look a little bit better. Deadly wenches. This integrates the immersive wenches into the bandit factions. So when you fight bandits, there will be wenches who are ridiculously powerful by comparison, compared to the other sort of NPCs that you'll encounter. So the deadly wenches are just kind of ridiculous in some of the powers they get, and it makes the fights difficult. Dragon Remains is pretty important. This makes it so that dragons don't disintegrate into skeletons the moment you take their souls. Now, we're not going to be doing any dragon soul stealing for a long, long time, as in the main quest of Skyrim is going to be deferred for 50 to 80 hours, something stupid like that. Unless we decide suddenly that it's very important we do it, which I don't think it is. We're going to generally avoid Helgen in the beginning of the game and not start the quest, so this won't be important until later. But we're going to be using Hunterborn to skin animals we kill. We're also going to be getting alchemy ingredients and stuff like that. So we want to be able to get some dragon meat. And you can't get dragon meat from a skeleton, at least not with your immersion intact. So that's how we get around that. A Flora Respawn Fix and Harvest Overhaul were things we were considering before we realized that elements of both of these mods were integrated properly into the complete crafting overhaul and alchemy overhaul. Pretty important. Let me see here. Next up, we got the follower trap safety. This just makes it so that your followers have a tendency to trigger traps never. That's the hope. In reality, some traps will still trigger regardless. But in theory, they should be able to walk over any pressure plate and not trigger them. That's the main concern, is followers triggering pressure plates. The guard, let's see, Forgotten Retexture Project, no big deal. Okay, there we go. Guard's armor replacer. This just simply replaces all the armors, and it just changes the way the guard's armor works entirely. It looks really nice. And yes, it absolutely wants to edit everything that doesn't touch guard's armor. It's true. It's true. It definitely needs to be. You can see it's being overwritten by a massive number of things already. So, we've got artifacts, the Ice Blade of the Monarch, immersive College of Winterhold compatibility patches, immersive wenches for the KS hairdos. It's pretty important. And then, of course, the immersive wenches, which, but keep in mind, the immersive wenches mod is kind of creepy, and it's by that group of people. Let's just say the kind of like remember back when I initially showed up, like this is years ago, but people weren't aware of the concept of Rule 34, right? When we talked about initially about like Skyrim mods, people thought that and the public really did at this time thought nude mods were the height of degeneracy, right? The public had no perception that there were mods that allowed you to partake in sexual assault and other not so great things. And so because I enjoyed Shadowren, don't go ahead and permit anything, please. Now then, as I was saying, we are going to here we go. Distraction. Ah, yes. As I was saying, because people really weren't aware of these really terrible mods, I went ahead and I made a video on YouTube. This was when YouTube was a lot less strict about what it allowed on the platform. And they, how do I put this? They really, like, people were just shocked, absolutely shocked about these terrible things. And, you know, I basically showcased, these, you know, like, oh, well, this is a drug abuse mod and it turns people into slaves. And then, there's the abuse that goes on. And then, don't worry about it because, so on and so forth. Like, it shocked people because in their minds at the time, in the public consciousness, they didn't know about Rule 34. They thought, oh, well, it's a nude mod. And so my point is that this shit is degenerate, right? I mean, really, I'm using, of course, you said MXR piggybacked on the concept. Well, MXR did a lot of things. I'm just saying that back at the time when I showcased that stuff, it definitely worked for its shock value. YouTube then told me, hey, you can't be having any of that stuff. And I said, fair enough. And I never touched it again. For now, however, I'm just saying that as far as the immersive wenches go, it is done by that part of the community. That's all I'm saying is that portion of people. So you will see some really cringy dialogue if you decide to partake in certain aspects of the mod. We'll be avoiding or skipping through most of that. Now, the sex scenes attached to this mod, because we don't have any sex mods installed, simply go fade to black. And they are not required to actually interact with the mod. So what we're using the mod for, it simply adds serving girls to the taverns. It makes the taverns more populated as a result. So I'm just saying that if you interact with certain parts of the mod, it will be a little bit creepy. And that's why I cannot recommend this mod to everyone. That's this whole long tirade, this whole conversation was just to properly explain why I don't recommend this to everyone. And yet, it adds one very specific element that I want to use, which is extra possible followers. And yeah, that's, like basically serving girls to taverns, which will interact with another mod called inconsequential NPCs, which we'll talk about later. All right, so here's a sword mod with immersive weapons, which adds even more weapons. So both of these mods add more weapons. Noting that the immersive weapons mod will actually go ahead and interact with Legacy of the Dragonborn for more displays. Absolutely. The jog, sprint, and jump is merely better jumping. Again, ignore it. Interesting NPCs, Legacy of the Dragonborn patch, ignore that. Moon and Star is a mod that it's not a really good quest mod, but it adds in some content in the world that I like. It adds a little town called Little Vivek on the middle of a what do you call it? In the middle of a lake, and it's just this cute little set of islands and stuff like that. It's good. So yeah, I enjoy the idea of Moon and Star more than the actual implementation. The quest line is quite frankly unimaginative and basic, but it ties itself a lot to Morrowind, and Legacy of the Dragonborn can again take advantage of it. Moonpath to Elsewhere is a mod that actually was created before the creation kit was properly released for Skyrim. It simply adds a bunch of dungeons and then kind of textures them in a way that they appear to be outdoor content. So you go through these little dungeons, and it just kind of simulates travel to Elsewhere, and there you fight a bunch of Thalmor and complete the quest, and that's it. It's all right. It gives you more stuff for Legacy of the Dragonborn, like the Staff of Indaris and things. More informative console is a Skyrim script extender plugin, which just expands the console. Morrowind-like soul gems, as it is described, adds Morrowind-like soul gems. I like Morrowind soul gems most. Wider MCM for Sky UI. The Oblivion artifact pack just adds a bunch of artifacts from Oblivion, scatters them around the world. Legacy of the Dragonborn takes advantage of that. Let's see. Oh yes, places and castles enhanced. Let's we go ahead. What wasn't Moonpath integrated into Legacy of Dragonborn old versions for the Legendary Edition? It was. It is not integrated anymore for various reasons. So, places and castles enhanced. This mod adds in all of these different. It completely revamps the different castles and like Jarl's palaces, either by in some places adding small touches here and there, or in like the Blue Palace just completely overhauling it to ridiculous proportions. Either way, we got Pandorables NPCs. We have the idea behind Pandorables. Remember when I said that the Bijin NPCs turn all of the different NPCs into supermodels? Well, that's only specific classes of NPCs. Pandorables, don't worry, because with the Dawnguard, Dragonborn, so on, they tend to do more of the NPCs, turn more of them into supermodels. Pandorable claims that they aren't turning them into supermodels, but they really, by comparison to vanilla standards, they might as well be. All right. Next up, we got Path of the Revenant. It is a mod for it adds a necromancer's lair near Dawnstar, which just adds a lot of cool stuff. Next up, we got Pretty Female Idols, which gives them like people an awkward pose where their hand is just kind of near their hip and kind of just idling there. It looks really awkward, and I like it. So there we go. For the Royal Armory, it just adds in, more equipment for NPCs to use. Rustic Clutter is an overhaul for different outfit. Just different objects around the world. Makes them look a little bit better. Let me see here. Undeath is a mod that is pretty it's compatible with a lot of things, but oh boy, is it glitchy at times. either way, it gives you a quest to do where you go to the Dragontail Mountains, you go to Scourge Barrow, which is Manny Marco's lair, and you have to kill a necromancer named Antioch. Now, you can choose along the way, you can either do good things or bad things each step of the way. In other words, I need to, let's just say, I see a priest of Arche. He's been tied up. The necromancers have him. You can choose to free the priest of Arche, or you can do what the necromancers were going to do and cut out his heart and take it with you, basically. It is useful. It's a good mod, whether you are a necromancer or not. However, a good chunk of the content is geared towards you being a necromancer. In other words, I want to discard my mortal body and become a lich. You can do that. So, as I was saying, we've got it's something that you can absolutely do, and becoming a lich is you're basically an immortal undead who respawns at their phylactery every time they're killed. It's kind of spooky. Okay, so moving on, we got the Skyrim Sewers, which is it just adds sewers all over the place. No big deal. The Skyrim Uncapper is nice. The idea behind it is you can level your skills past 100. No problem there. Skyrim Underground is a mod that, how do I best put this? I have these switched around. Doesn't matter that I have these switched around because I'm not going to mess with it now. But I should have had this the ESM below the ESP. Like, I should have done that, but I'm not going to bother. Anyway, as I was saying, what we're going to do, what Skyrim Underground is, it just adds a vast amount of caverns that are interconnected, goes everywhere. There's a lot of stuff that isn't lore friendly or otherwise is kind of off-putting. Like, oh, well, there's Jiggalag. I just killed Jiggalag. What's this Mara demon? Stuff like that. It's very spooky, very not lore friendly, hilarious. I enjoy it. Next, we're going to keep on going. So Skyrim Unique Treasures obviously integrates into the gallery. Snazzy furniture overhaul just, is what the Rustic Clutter collection kind of does. It snazifies different furniture pieces. Sneak Tools is nice because you can get behind someone and stab the crap out of them, or use a blunt object to knock them out. Stuff like that. It's very fancy if you want to do more stealth-oriented gameplay, or even if you don't want to do stealth-oriented gameplay and you just, a guy is trusting you and then you want to knock him out. Like this mod really lets you do. It gives you more freedom on how you want to handle things. Also gives you like rope arrows and water arrows where you can extinguish fire sources, and then fire arrows where you can relight those sources that you put the fires out. It's nice. Let me see here. Anyway, Grey Cal of Nocturnal is every once in a while I make jokes about by the guards, and we'll have to call the village chef because the voice acting is, oh boy, how do I put this? The author, to my knowledge, and this is comment and tell me if I'm wrong, but the author could not speak English. So the author just kind of ran with voice actors, whoever said that they'd want to do it, without really, being able to quality test the results. So you get these really uncomfortable voice acted lines where, it's like, instead of by the gods, by the guards. And I'll take you to the village chief became I'll take you to the village chef. All kinds of weird stuff like that. The gameplay is actually pretty fun. It just takes you to like a little corner of Hammerfell, this valley where you're able to explore and do dungeons and just play through the quest line. At the end, you get the Grey Cowl. You meet with the spirit of the 7th champion of Cyrodiil. The person you played as in Oblivion, except he's voiced by that really awkward sounding YouTuber Shinji, who did, some of those uncomfortable mods, who reviewed some of those uncomfortable mods, I was going to say. Yeah, it's, and I remember that people complained about it because they said it wasn't accurate because he became Sheogorath in the lore, right? Because of Shivering Isles, which is true. So the author made a director's cut version where he actually went and transforms into Sheogorath, then transforms back just for no reason other than to appease all those people. And so, he does a cheese for everyone moment before transforming back into the 7th champion to talk to you for a bit. It's awkward and hilarious. It's a good chunk of extra content, which is also supported by the Dragonborn Gallery, by the way. Yes. So, what can I say other than this badly put together, hilarious mod? I recommend it. However, it may destroy your immersion. So, I don't know. Tools of Kagranak adds, does the Sunder Keening Wraithguard whole situation, and that's supported by the gallery. Guard's armor replacement patches. These are all patches. Remember the Guard's armor replacer? These are all patches that fix it because it tries to meddle with so many other things. So you need patches for it. Undeath, no auto quest start means that rather than Undeath just starting whenever the hell it wants, you'll have to have finished a very specific quest. The lady in the tower near Falkreath? No, Falkreath. Riften. The lady in the tower near Riften. You help her with her mission, and once you finish her quest, then if you are of the requisite level, you get a letter from her, from a courier. The moment you read that letter, that's when Undeath starts. But until then, the Undeath mod doesn't start until you meet those 2 requisites. In the vanilla Undeath mod, that is the Undeath mod as it normally is, once you hit level 40, it just kind of starts for no reason. It's just like, okay, well, apparently I've hit level 40, so now I gotta start the Undeath quest. Nah, it has a quest requirement, and then you can ignore the letter and not read it, in which point it doesn't start until you actually read the letter. So, inconsequential NPC, you said level 30. Okay, that's fine. 30, 40, I'm not going to split hairs over that. Either way, Inconsequential NPCs is a mod that has never officially been ported to the special edition, but there are ways to get it. Mod piracy. Wait, that place got taken down, didn't it? Yes, it did. So, what do you mean you have to go to the Wayback Machine and the download links still work? They do. They do. With the Wayback Machine? Yes. You mean archive.org? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you can't get inconsequential PCs at all. It's impossible to get, obviously, for the special edition. And it also has a cutting room floors patch. It just adds a bunch of little NPCs here and there. Some of them are not named, like there'll be a patron or a laborer, basic stuff. Others will be a little more detailed and have a bit of personality. It's pretty good. I've already discussed Moon and Star. Sorry. Moving on. We are. Inconsequential NPCs. If you want something a little more modern, it isn't nearly as detailed. It isn't as nearly fleshed out. It doesn't really give it personality, but it definitely fills in the cities a bit more. Check out a mod called Populated Skyrim, which basically does the same thing, but without the special NPCs. So yes, there you go. Now, we got Immersive Lichdom, which is one of the patches for fixing the way Undeath works. It's kind of important. It adds a lot of extra content to it, but it doesn't fix everything. And that's important. It can actually introduce more problems than it fixes at times. And if you don't use this next one, which is called Classical Lichdom, this is the main patch for fixing things. This one is think of Immersive Lichdom is an expansion pack, and Classical Lichdom is an overall fix. But they both add content. Both of them. Immersive Lichdom does fix some things, and it does add content, and Classical Lichdom does add content as well. So it's like you should use both, I guess. Doesn't matter. Unofficial Moonpath to Elsewhere fix, very important. Tournament of the Ten Bloods. Okay, remember when in Oblivion where you meet with Boethia, or you meet at Boethia's statue, and you enter a tournament to fight a bunch of other people to get a hold of Goldbrand? That's what this is. It adds that quest back into the game. Keep in mind something. If you don't have this, Legacy of the Dragonborn will just stick Goldbrand in a place that you can grab. So it's not necessary, but there's a patch for this. Comes with the Legacy of the Dragonborn patch collection, and it will just remove Goldbrand from the place that the Legacy places it and put it into the Ten Bloods tournament, so you win it instead, which is good. Unslad is it's a mod by the author of Vigilant. It's not great, but it's another big dungeon, kind of like Darkened. I'd say they're comparable. It's by a Japanese person who got the Skyrim Voice Acting Alliance to do an English version, as it were. Not so much in terms of quality control, but it's fun. Victoria's High-Heeled Walk. So basically, when you want people to walk with one foot in front of the other so their ass sways back and forth, that's what this mod is for. For Vigilant is a mod that comes in 4 parts. And it's difficult to talk about because a lot of people will get confused by the first part. The first part is very generic. You'll be hired by a guy to talk with to join the Vigilance, and you'll immediately end up talking to a prostitute who's a vampire, and she tries to attack you, and you kill her, and then you go meet with you have to defeat a Daedra called Kavakis, who's been summoned in order to because it's some really crazy stuff, and it's not that big a deal, right? It's just kind of weird little mini missions, and so you think, okay, well that's weird, and then eventually you're sent to fight Molag Bal as he's summoned into the world. And he's like this weird amalgamation of a dragon and Molag Bal. It's some really creepy, weird stuff. And so you beat the clone of Molag, the dragon Molag Bal hybrid thing, and you think, well, that was kind of a shitty mod. At which point, you'll get called to Stendarr's Beacon, and there'll be another mission for you. And well, that was weird too. Well, at the end of that mission, okay, so I have to go into the Undercroft, and I've been killed. Why am I dead? And you'll end up going into this weird, psychedelic horror situation. And without spoiling too much, you go to Cold Harbor, and Cold Harbor has been kind of stuck into the Cold Harbor has been basically thrust into the Second Era. It's Second Era Cold Harbor. So you've got the Elysian Order trying to fight against all these modern forces. You got modern forces and Elysian forces and stuff from the Thracian Plague, and it's all kind of jammed together in one weird afterlife situation. You have to play Dark Souls essentially, and it's really fucking good at that point. But how we got from that was kind of a shitty quest to this is Dark Souls and it's fucking amazing, I don't know. My point is the mod is worth playing, and it was made by the Japanese guy, so there's an English voice add-on that you should get. Otherwise, you get You get text to speech, and you don't want text to speech. Yes, I'm sure. Whenever you next mod. Yes, I'm sure when you want to craft something, and it asks, "Are you sure you want to craft that?" Yes, I'm sure. Don't prompt me about this. They got Sky UI config tweak. That okay with this mod? This isn't the right one. I have it somewhere else. Like this one's redundant. Ignore this one. But I have another version of this which is done properly, and all it does is your equipped stuff is on the top. So when you're pasting, when you're like trying to deposit a bunch of stuff or sell a bunch of stuff, you don't accidentally click on your equipped items, because your equipped items are stuck at the top. So it stops a lot of issues with mass selling or mass putting away of items. Artifacts of Skyrim adds more content. Artificial Artifacts of Skyrim, more content. Uniques patch, no problem there. Technically not needed, but you got that. So complete crafting and cooking overhaul patch. Yes, there's an airship. So this just adds an airship, no problem there. That Artificer's extremely buggy, crashes. Sounds cool. We'll deal with that in the fullness of time, I'm sure, because I'm not spending 20 minutes rebuilding a bash patch today. That's for sure. Let me see here. So yeah, it adds an airship. Dragon stalking fix stops dragons from, like, when you leave a dungeon or leave a building, a nearby dragon corpse will just suddenly appear. All right, so people are wondering, obviously, what I changed during the Abashed patch. And so since we're making an Abashed patch, let's go ahead and talk about this. So merchant restock, we've reduced that to 1 day. So you just wait 24 hours and the merchant will be restocked. The actor encumbrance multiplier doesn't actually work in this game, but we set it to 12 because we're stupid. Training limit is unlimited, so we can train unlimited times per level. This will be important later. Actors, we set that to 40. The default is 20. The max active actors we set to 40. And then for arrow recovery from actor, we set that to 100%. Note that it'll, like, no big deal. Bounty assault, we set that to 500. Horse theft to 1,000. Jailbreak to 1,000. Murder to 10,000. Pickpocketing to 200. And shape-shifting, that's turning into a werewolf or a vampire lure, that's 1,000. So arrow projectile fix is on. Alchemy in combat is allowed. Max actors to be in combat is 40. Let's see. Custom pickpocketing chance. The normal minimum pickpocketing chance is like what, 9%, something stupid like that. We set it to 25%. So we have a 1 in 4 chance of getting pickpocket off normally if we have terrible skill. Let me see. A number of runes, we set that to 3. Let's see. So for quantity prompt 3. So when it asks you, do you want, like, as far as this goes, like your inventory quantity, we just, how to put this, if it's 5, it would take up to 5 items before it would prompt you how many you want to deal with. I brought that down to 3 because if I'm doing more than 2 items, I want to prompt me immediately how many items I want to put away. Draggable weight is normally like 100, something like that. And we brought up to 250, so we can just drag around heavier things. Player sprint cost is halved. It's half of what it normally is. Cell respawn, it is 3 days. If it's cleared, it's 7 days. And then the world scale is set down from 20 to 9. 8 is where it starts breaking things, so we set it to 9. That's the Abashed patch. Let's rebuild it. This will take about 15 to 25 minutes, somewhere in that range, to make the Abashed patch. So while that does its thing, we're going to go back over here, and we're going to scroll back down, try to figure out where the hell we were before we got horribly distracted. Let me see. Ethereum items, Darkened, Dragon Remains, Follower Trap Safety. Yeah, somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes, most likely, to rebuild the Abashed patch. So, either way, Let's keep going here. Artifacts is still going down the list. Let's see. Okay, we're basically at the point where yeah, immersive weapons. So as I was saying, we've got the accoutrements mod. This mod's really cool because it adds a new dungeon, and this dungeon has to do with time walking, where you'll put on a mask and it'll allow you to go back in time. Put the mask, like take the mask off, and you'll go back to the future, and you just kind of go back and forth with it. So the idea is that it adds another Elder Scroll called the Scroll of Warlord, and it gives you like one unique power that you can switch between like 3 possibilities. A lot of cool stuff you get from this. It's a nice quest. I was gonna say, yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, people were asking, what am I running on? I'm running on Kubuntu Linux. That's supposed to be dark. Don't worry about it. It'll update whenever it like this will update whenever there's a change. See, there's a change. So this is, you can see it's like a minute and 55 in here, and it's gotten that far. But yeah, we're this is running in Kubuntu, and it's actually this whole thing is running in Proton, which is basically it's Steam's compatibility layer. And so it shares a compatibility layer with like it shares the compat data with pull open Steam library. Steam library. I'll figure this out eventually. There it is. It actually thinks that we're running in we're playing Skyrim right now, because it's like Mod Organizer is sharing Skyrim's compatibility, like its own little compat data. So yes, he said, how is it with SteamPlay and Proton? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. That's the answer. But the tests looked good, but there's no substitute for actually, jumping in the game and playing it for real. So let me see. I'm looking at a couple more things. Distractions aplenty. Sorry. Okay. So next we got the interesting NPCs patch for for Legacy of the Dragonborn. No big deal. We talked about Moon and Star already. That was something. Let's see here. We talked about Moonpath to Elsewhere. We talked about Pandorables. Okay, so obviously, oh, I see what happened. Okay, this is making more sense now. We were sorting by yeah, it's definitely by priority then, because yeah, we had all of the Sky Shards and stuff already. Pretty sure. Yeah, I have no idea what we're doing now. So obviously, let me see. Path to Elsewhere. We talked about that. One form of console, Oblivion Artifact Pack. Yeah, we talked about that already. Already talked about Skyrim Underground. Let me see here. Okay. Oh yes, snazzy furniture. Talked about that. Unslad, Vigilant. We talked about that already. Yeah, I got horribly off track here. We talked about the airship. I think the dragon stalking fix is basically where we stopped. Okay, good. That's where we stopped. Good. So, as I was saying, Valskar. Valskar is the first major landmass mod to ever come out. It is of low quality. I want to say it's slightly worse than Skyrim vanilla at times. Slightly better than vanilla at other times, but for the most part, like it's playable, it's enjoyable, it's a new place to explore, but it's definitely slightly lower quality than the rest of Skyrim. That's, I want to say that parts of it are better than Skyrim, but so it just let's call it more Skyrim instead. Yes. Jarl Stupid is don't trust him. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. And Ingvar's like, ha 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 ha, ha, kill them all. It's very one-sided, and I absolutely despise the fact that they added this really cool capital city, town kind of thing in the middle of the region, and then nuked it. Just completely destroyed it with no option to save the Jarl or anything. It's how does it compare to something like Dragonborn DLC? Dragonborn DLC is slightly better. Anyway, moving on. So, fossil mining. So, fossil mining is a mod that simply gives you the opportunity to earn fossils while you're mining normal nodes. This is good. They go in the gallery, and they're also fossil nodes themselves where you can actually mine just fossils. You can get some dragon bones and stuff and build a statue. Little, other things. Heavy armory or just better weapons, hide backpacks, just kind of it pretends like the backpacks aren't worn. It doesn't affect all backpacks, only certain ones. No big deal. We tried iEquip, which is a neat little mod, especially if you're using a controller. And you were to, say, use the Dark Souls mod, which removes the pause on menus, and you want a Dark Souls-like experience, iEquip is highly recommended. It creates like a gear wheel where you can swap between gear really quickly and conveniently. I tried it out. I don't like it for my current playthrough. So, it's something where I recommend it to people who are playing with a controller. It'll greatly enhance your experience. I'm playing with keyboard and mouse. I don't want to use it. Anyway, In Soaps adds actual soap in different inns. And then there's a Legacy of the Dragonborn compatibility patch where you can collect those soaps and put them on display. Yes, soaps. So, as I was saying, we are talking about Insanity Sorrow's weapons pack. It's, better looking weapons. Moving on, Jackson's Positioner is a mod that just allows you to move and reorder and resize things. Big deal. Yeah, that's about it. It lets you completely change the way things look. I actually like it quite a bit. And the problem is that when it was converted to Special Edition, it doesn't actually have other. It wasn't made for Special Edition, so as a result, it throws up an error the moment you start it. And this mod removes the error. That's it. Let's see, weapon pack, textures. Legacy of the Dragonborn itself. This is a complete quest overhaul mod. It adds a new faction, which is the Dragonborn Gallery. It's kind of a, what do you call it? I'm trying to phrase this the best. It is a collectathon sort of thing where you take all the relics, you put them in the gallery. There's a quest purpose to you collecting the relics, and eventually it splinters off into its own guild, which is the Explorer Society, where you start as the guild master and you collect the other people and get them to join on with your guild, and then you can send them off to do tasks on their own. You basically give them little quests to do, and then they'll do it and come back. It's nice. He said Skyrim Extended Cut doesn't exist. There's a trailer, and it's cringy as fuck with the romance and stuff like that. I do hope it turns into something that the Skyrim Extended Cut mod. I do hope they elevate themselves out of that cringy trailer and make something worthwhile, because I'm on board with the idea of an extended cut to Skyrim's main quest, okay? I want them to make a good mod out of it. But that trailer did not leave a good first impression. Now, as I was saying, So Legacy of the Dragonborn gives you access to like all tons of new items and things, new dungeons, and eventually a quest where you reforge the Amulet of Kings. Whoops, spoilers. There's more to it than that though. I recommend it. In fact, I base all of my playthroughs now around it because it is that good. Now, as far as the Legacy of the Dragonborn goes, it has lots and lots of different features, tons of them. Let me really quick, you said Legacy of the Dragonborn actually had a curator thing. Hold on, I'm looking right. The curator companion of the companion. Pretty sure I downloaded this recently. Yeah, I downloaded this on the 20th, and now it was updated on the 22nd. Okay, so it looks like I do need to actually download the new version of the Curator's Companion. Yeah, because it's been updated. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're gonna download the Curator's Companion new version. Looks like it needs. Wait, it needs file access interface. That doesn't make sense. It really needs FISSES? Why? Did the old version require that? I don't think it did. Oh well. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous, I say. Let me go ahead and grab it then. Am I going to have to rebuild my patch again? I'd be irritated. I'm going to be extra irritated if this... Okay, good. So it's just a ski... See. File access interface. I'm assuming it's just an SKSE plugin. I'm hoping. If it's not an SKSE plugin and it's something that goes into the main directory, we're going to have to go through some gymnastics to get to it. So, let's see. Ooh. Explore. Let's see. Scripts. So it adds new scripts. And it's SKSE. So no, there is an ESP there. Oh God, so yeah, that's just delightful. ESP. How's the Abashed patch going? 13 minutes in, and it's like 75%. It'll just suddenly skip to the end. Like it will really finish quickly. The Abashed patch, yes. Okay, so let me hop back in. Let's load the scripts. So okay, that's fine then. Just ignore it, and it can load after the Abashed patch. Oof, but we have to I'm just looking at the Curator Companion, and we're going to have to... The question is, updating the Curator Companion, is that going to require that we redo the patch? I don't think so. Because it's... No. It adds nothing to the leveled lists. The Curator Companion adds absolutely nothing to the leveled list, so it doesn't matter. Okay, that's fine. Fine. Keep going, Abashed patch. Go. Patch. All right. Yeah. See here. Ooh. We need the Legacy of the Dragonsborn Curator Companion. Yes. And that should do it. Absolutely. Fossil mining. Soaps. Agronet. Weapon. Ooh, Vigilant. Air. Okay. I'm going to really quick. I need to edit some stuff. Don't use heal there. Okay. Very important. All the add-ons are ESP. It's up to you to have the tools and the knowledge to use light plugins and how they operate. by installing these files. I mean, I know exactly how they, doesn't matter, we just install all of it and overwrite the old files from there. No big deal. Yep, the Abashed patch was finished successfully. Enable it. Deal. Yep, that's that. And we're just going to restart. We're going to close this first. Then we're going to restart Mod Organizer. So we're just going to reopen this. Very good, very good. It's going to take a minute to, not a whole minute, but, you know, close to a minute to open. Because it's dealing with, it's like opening and closing the like Proton's running. So it just takes a moment to start up. There it is. You can see it just started opening. Yep. Let me see. Yes, we absolutely have smooth skin, like hairless men. You know, not like they have hair on their head, but you know they got the nice smooth skin, and we got the skimpy armor, the skimpy iron armor for the men, and then we got the skimpy steel armor for the men. And absolutely, we got those mods. Not even joking. I'm not even joking. So, let me see. That is not a joke. Okay. Yeah, we reinstalled the Curator's Companion. Oh, really? Damn it. I see what's happening. Wait a second. Okay. It did not, let me make sure right here. Legacy of the Dragonborn. Safe House Plus. Sword Display. Okay, good. Good. It seems the Curator Companion is, oh, God. Well, we have to make a new Abashed patch, that's for sure. Holy fucking hell. Apparently, I hadn't reloaded that. So, another 15 minutes. No big deal. Let's just go ahead and use loot again. Lock Overhaul. Lock Overhaul is an interesting mod because it allows you not only to pick locks as normal, and then have an auto pick button, kind of like what do you call it, Oblivion had, but it also allows you to either bash it with a weapon, and if your weapon skill is high enough, you can actually break the lock open, or it allows you to use spells to unlock things. Now, it's important to understand that bashing things will alert all enemies nearby, including guards, and it's considered an illegal act. Whoopsie. So bashing locks, probably a last resort. Don't want to do it in towns, things like that. It's just kind of how that works. Next up, we got Miko Reborn. Miko is a dog that you meet in Skyrim. And this particular dog has been retextured. Looks unique. Looks different from all the other dogs in the game. And it actually has a war horn now that you can you pick up off the table next to where you meet the dog, and you can resummon him no matter where he ends up. So if he chased an enemy away, you can summon him back to you. It just means that he's a persistent companion, as opposed to the wait, where'd the dog go? Next up, we got the Bad Gremlins mods. Bad Gremlin is just adds a bunch of random collectibles like little fairies and all stuff like that. Coffee powered, indeed. So am I. It's morning and we got coffee. All right. Now, as I was saying, Mystic Condenser is a mod that adds just a little kind of crafting station where you can take lower quality potions and merge them together into higher quality potions. It's just you take 3 lower quality potions, just shove condense them. It's good. Mystic Condenser Immersive College of Winterhold adds a college, condenser to the college problem there. New treasure hunt is just more, more treasures, more little treasure maps. No problem. Let me see here. Yeah, he can't get one shot with Miko Reborn. With Miko Reborn, he's what do you call it? An essential companion. So he won't die. Now then, no hoods and wigs, vigilant, no pain. Let's see. Ah, yes. No intro for Skyrim Special Edition. What this does is, remember that the Bethesda Softworks intro video? It doesn't play that. That's it. No more standing too close means that NPCs won't go, huh? And then back up, when if you get too close to them. They won't do that anymore. People Are Strangers is a mod that replaces all the NPC names with their race instead of their name. And then if you interact with them or hear them talk, all of a sudden you'll know their name. But it just means that until you interact with a person, you won't know who. What's called proper aiming. Just fixes the aim on bows. This fix gets overwritten by something else, so it's not necessary. Quiet dog, complete silence, stops dogs from barking unless they're in combat. Realistic mushrooms, that's an HD replacer. Ruin's Edge is an artifact. Rustic windows, texture replace there. Soap displays for Legacy of the Dragonborn. Remember those soap displays? Well, now they remember those soap displays in inns. Now you can put the soaps in the gallery. They have a place there. Very good. Let me see. Series. Dane Weapons Reborn, Staff of Shao Goroth, Treasure Hunter, Vigilant Character Overhaul. This makes Lamai Ball not look like a demented anime alien. It's actually very important. The Vigilant Character Overhaul is required for me to play it. Otherwise, Lamai Ball looks like this twisted amalgamation of a Skyrim character and an anime girl. This fixes her, along with a bunch of other characters. It makes them look better, but it's essential for her. Otherwise, the mod is virtually unplayable. We're like, what is this alien? Let me see. This is a potion mod. It makes all the potions look pretty. Wheels of Lull is a Train Whiz mod, which is well known for being kind of glitchy and buggy, and may end everything. Don't worry about it too much. Don't worry about any of that. All right, so Train Whiz mods are glorious. Now, the Forgotten City is a mod which actually is being made into a game. That is to say, if we were to go over and type in, what is it called? Forgotten City it's called Steam, and we go to the Forgotten City on Steam, we can see that this mod is actually being made into its own game, which is kind of important. Travel 2,000 years in the past and relive the final days of a cursed Roman city where everyone dies. If one person sins, everyone dies. So it's I highly recommend adding this to your follow list if you want to play an actual video game and not just a Skyrim mod. So that's kind of a big deal. It's yeah, exactly. So there we go. As you can see, it yeah, exactly. The idea is, if you're going to bother expanding it, you might as well make it its own game, because as a Skyrim mod, it was definitely high quality. I agree with that assessment. However, if you're going to put all this time into it to the point where you're expanding it, making it huge, you might as well just go ahead and make it its own game. And so that's what the author's doing. And unfortunately, ZeniMax being so litigious, they can't advertise, hey, this is my video game based on the Skyrim mod. Instead, he just has to count on people finding it all on their own. What can I say other than check it out? And you should add it to your wish list and just kind of wait for it to come out, because it's, coming winter 2020, so it's supposed to come out around Christmas, supposedly. I think this is going to be 2021 with the plague going on. The plague has slowed everything down. Cost me a couple real-life opportunities as well. Either way, as far as the Forgotten City goes, we've added it to our quest. We'll probably be doing this late game, though. We won't, we'll get the quest to go there, and then we'll kind of ignore it for a long time. It's something we'll do in the late game, assuming we have a late game, because, this mod list is buggy, glitchy, crashy. Speaking of buggy, oh, yes, we're already halfway through. This thing's going to be almost done. I'm looking forward to it. Come on. Either way, moving on. We're going down this list, and Authentic Legion just changes the Legion armors a bit. Let me see. Obviously, patches for JK Skyrim. More patches. Yes, and Clockwork is a kind of quest/content mod with Dwemer stuff. Maraloot. So a lot of people talk about Maraloot, and then there's Maraloot Ultimate. Maraloot Ultimate unlevels a lot of the world. Basically says, well, this area has this level enemies. This area has that level enemies. Skyrim wasn't made to work that way. So there can be a lot of problems, especially with third-party mods that add new monsters and stuff. You might end up with mods, like monsters that are scaled to the specific area, and then monsters that are not scaled to that area and, are wherever the hell it is. Unleveled mods need to have compatibility patches, tons and tons of them. So that's why we don't use Maraloot Ultimate at all. We use the regular Maraloot, which adds a bunch of loot from Morrowind. And there are a lot of people who say, well, what do you think about Ultimate? I just told you. It can cause a lot of problems if you don't have specific compatibility patches and you use other mods that add monsters. It can cause issues. So we're avoiding those issues. Now, Hunterborn. Hunterborn is a mod that actually adds a bunch of... I think our patch just finished. Yep, our patch is finished. Very good. So we got our... enable the patch. Good. The Abashed patch is ready. Very, very good. Very, 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 very good. Very good. Okay. So now that... as I was saying, Hunterborn. The idea is that Hunterborn allows you to you asked open WS99. Yes, it gets put into like my documents, something like that. Yeah, my documents, my games, and then it has its own category. Anyway, so as I was saying, Hunterborn allows you to skin and harvest ingredients and butcher the meat of animals. It's pretty nice. We talked about this earlier, actually. No big deal. This is a huge automated patch collection. It's kind of a big deal. I recommend it. Monster mod patches. Attack commitment's interesting because what it does is it stops you from turning while you use your weapon. In other words, if you attack, then your character is committed to only moving about 20%, roughly. Like your character can barely turn. So you have to basically commit to attacking in that direction, and then your attack is released, and then you can turn however you want. But, yeah, enemies can't magically follow you in the middle of attack. Correct. Exactly. So the enemy can't be doing a swing and suddenly just immediately spin around and hit you. They can't do that. Let me see here. Experience. We need to disable the experience mod completely. That's pretty important. So this mod will be enabled later, but it needs to be off for now. And this disconnects your level ups from it disconnects your level ups from your skill and makes them based on exploration and killing things. And we're actually going to configure this mod in real time after we've finished setting some stuff up. So pastel map markers is not used. Just ignore it. It's being overwritten by the adventure theme mod. Kind of big deal. And then parts of the adventure theme mod are being replaced with classic start menu and the anthology. So the classic start menu removes the creation club, and the anthology menu pretty much says the background's going to look like Morrowind and sound like Morrowind. Immersive sounds completely changes the way noises work in the game. Gfix isn't really in use, but it can. It's used for like player facial animations. CBBE is a female body mod, which is a bit ridiculous. It's not realistic. If you want realistic, you can go with various other body mods. This one I would say is exaggerated, and you can change the way it like its properties in Body Slide Studio. Body Slide Studio is also a great way to resolve incompatibilities between different armor sets and things like that. Say you have an armor set where the wrists are kind of cut off and stuff like that. So like you can use Body Slide to, assuming it like the armors have Body Slide files, you can kind of merge all those armors together and like unify everything under one body type. It's good for compatibility. That's what the Body Slide Studio is best for. Bijin family body slides is never nude. Very important. Makes it not naked. Dual wield block and parry is something I was using before I got a mod that does that already. Let's see. Black robe necromancer themed. So all the black robes in the game now are shirtless, so that the men can just be shirtless if they're wearing necromancer robes, and the robes are literally from the waist down. That's kind of a big deal there. Let me see here. So general good vendors sell salt and flour. That's important for cooking. Bottles of Skyrim change the way bottles look. No crime teleport is where when you choose to pay your fine, they go smart man, and then they teleport you to the front of the jail. Like this just skips that, and they go smart man, and they do take your stolen goods, and the goods get teleported off of you and go to the jail area. But this just stops them from teleporting you, because very often the game will crash when you go to jail, because what happens is all of the NPCs in that region will suddenly teleport to your location, and they'll all start to come out of that door. And it just has a tendency to crash the game, especially if you have extra populated cities. So in interest of stability, we just kind of remove the crime teleport, and it actually makes the game a lot more stable in general. I'm a Customer is a mod that overhauls various shops, especially the taverns, where you're able to just click on the food and it will instantly buy a meal, and your character will eat the meal instantly. And that doesn't do much unless you have a needs mod on. But then if you have a needs mod on, like I need, for example, the game will factor in the food you've just eaten, as in oh look, you've just had a meal. That's how that works. Let me see here. Potema Fix stops the game from crashing if you're using the XMP extended skeleton, which we're using that skeleton. So this little mod here just stops the game from crashing if you're. Let me see here. Private Profile Redirector. What this does is it actually takes the INI file for Skyrim and puts it into RAM. Because normally, when the game wants to open, what it does is it reads the first line of the INI file, and then it executes the command. Then comes back to the next line, executes the command. Next line, executes the command. And it will do this for every single mod plugin you have. Thus, if you have 400 plugins, get ready for the game to take 3 minutes to boot up. But you can cut that time in over half by putting it into memory. So that's what the Private Profile Redirector does, is it takes that And when I say start up, I don't mean like when you get to the title screen, you've already started up the game. I'm talking about the time from when you double click on the icon to the moment the game is actually, loading. Like there's just this dead time where nothing's happening, and that's the INI file trying to boot up the game. So this cuts it by the time in more than half. It can turn a 3-minute load into about a 53-second load, basically. You're having issues, you're gonna figure those out. Oh, nice. Well, I'm I work on it. That's for sure. Thank you for the cheer, by the way. But yeah, I mean, I would recommend perhaps having a chit chat with the Tamriel rebuilt people. Then you might be able to do that. So, what about merging plugins? Indeed, you could do that. You could try, and you might have issues as a result. Good luck. Anyway, moving on. The Dova Bear animated loading screen is a required mod for all our playthroughs. It shows the Dova Bear on the loading screen, and it is raising its one-handed skill by hitting things. Very good, very good. Next up, we got the Dark Brotherhood of Old. This simply is an expansion to the original Dark Brotherhood questline. What it does is it simply says, okay, you finished the main Dark Brotherhood questline. Now you actually have to rebuild the Brotherhood, because you're not going to be able to rebuild the Brotherhood just with a couple peasants inside of a shrine near Dawnstar. What's going on here? So that's what this is. This is an expansion to the quest where you're actually trying to rebuild it. As far as Enhanced Mighty Dragons go, this just says, hey, I heard you like dragons. How about making them super strong? That's it. Zenithar's Workshop is a mod that adds tons of cosmetic items to the game. Just a lot of cosmetic items everywhere. They are ridiculous. And when I say everywhere, I mean they're in one shop, but like tons and tons of different items. They're stupid. Like you could look like Shovel Knight if you want. We are going to use those for very specific items that we're going to be using. You said it has a Nier costume? Yes, yes. Block Steal is a mod that prevents you from stealing an item unless you're crouching. You're in stealth mode. So you can still get caught. Like someone could be seeing you while you're in stealth mode and catch you stealing. It's just that when you're walking up to something and you hit E to talk to the person, instead of stealing the item by accident on the table, nothing will happen because you weren't crouched in order to do that. So it's kind of a big deal there. Less combat grunts. This turns the combat grunting and yelling to a quarter of what it normally is. Let me see. And then Simuldawn is a combat overhaul that it's a little bit lighter than Wildcat. Doesn't have the combat injuries, but it doesn't run as many scripts in the background as a result. So there's actually it's a complete rebuild of Wildcat in the first place. Like this is arguably more advanced. However, we're not going to be taking advantage of all its features. We just want some of the basic ones. Then we got realistic damage, which increases the damage that you take and they take, meaning that it arguably makes the game easier, like less bullet spongy enemies, but it makes the game more fun as a result. Combat gameplay overhaul allows you to shoot, cast spells, and swing your weapon while you are moving and jumping and everything. It just unlocks all of your movement except for the movement restrictions from the attack commitment mod. So you still can't look left and right to instantly turn. That's the only difference. You can move around though. Archery gameplay overhaul is it just changes the way your archery works, makes it faster, makes it easier. No problem there. Next, we got Imaginator. This allows you to change the bloom and brightness and color tint. It's an in-game alternative to something like Reshade. It's doesn't have all the features of Reshade, but it's massively compatible because it just kind of alters things on the game level as opposed to, doing a layer over it. Anyway, let me see here. Reliquary of Myth, this just, changes the way artifacts work. No problem there. And then the Legacy of the Dragonborn Curator's Companion is a little guide that helps keep track of all the relics you're getting. Kind of a big deal. So, as you can see, that is the current mod loadout that we've got. It's a smidgen on the big side, no problem there. But, yeah, it takes us about a minute, I'm even joking, a minute here. You had frequent issues when you tried it out. The issues only went away when you removed it. You do realize the Curator Companion was updated. What's it called? Yesterday. And that the version before that had apparently massive issues. Not even joking. Apparently, the version before yesterday had massive issues. So, yeah. Okay, got an NVMe SSD? Yes. I do have an NVMe SSD, and it takes about 3 minutes if you're not using the faster boot up mod, and about 1 minute if you are. So I recommend that that faster boot up mod, or you're going to be in for a bad time. So yes,